15 मिनट उसको लगे कन्विंस करने में कि ही शुड टेक, शर्मा रहा था वो बेचारा। सो व्हाट टू, बट एक टीचर का पर्सपेक्टिव और एक स्टूडेंट का पर्सपेक्टिव हमेशा अलग होता है। ही नोज द प्रैक्टिकलिटीज ऑफ। Fine, so coming to the concept of an air masses, coming to this, that definition of an air mass. So what you will write, so I'm giving the mic to Abhinav.
Hello everyone. So, are you all clear why you have chosen geography as your optional? Any doubts? अगर डाउट है तो अभी छोड़ दो, ठीक है? क्योंकि it would be a long preparation, like it would take around 5 months class में, और उसके बाद you will take, it depends on you, 2-3 months or 4 months to consolidate all the things, because the content would be huge. You have to like see the previous year questions and sort out what all you have to write. So while writing in the exam, it is not only the content, what all extra things you can add there, like maps you have to practice, then diagrams which would be scattered here and there, so you have to collect them and make your own pages that these all things I am going to write in the exam. Okay, so you cannot leave it that I would do extempore there. It is not going to happen. I just wrote the means. Have you seen the paper? So the paper was like, you cannot say that these all things I could have written. Okay, earlier it was considered that paper 1 is only difficult, paper 2 is quite doable. But this year or last year also, paper 2 was somewhat like current. So you have to see what all things they are going on in the around you, and you have to link it with the paper 1 syllabus. The theories which you read in paper 1, the models, I don't think much has been covered in the classes. So in human geography portion, what you all will read, you have to link it in paper 2. So that linkages, some sir will tell you, some you have to develop, what all things I can add. Okay, it's not just you have to write a GS answer, you have to make it different to look like an optional answer. Because geography paper 2 is, you will see, when you read, you will realize it is GS paper, everybody can write. So you have to make it different. So the map work, the diagrams, the theories from paper 1, you have to link it, and somewhat extra reading like the census data, demography, all these things you have to do yourself. Sir cannot take all of this in classes. Sir can cover the syllabus, but some extra effort has to be there from you. So what you can do is practice the map work, atlas. You can practice daily, say some area you can take up, and you can practice that so that you can use in whenever required, okay? And some maps you have to make then and there only. Like, say there is a question about some cotton textile industry, okay? So maybe you haven't read a particular map, but you know somewhat some locations where cotton textile industry is located. So just do it. Make a map and plot the industries, okay? Same can be done for water crisis. Same can be done for say, hazards of India. So the maps has to be there. My formula is like, for a 10 marker, you draw one map or a diagram, for 15 marker, 2, and for 20 marker, 3. So you can imagine how much effort you have to put, apart from writing. This has to be done apart from writing. So preparation has to be like this way. You cannot rely on writing. That won't help, because everybody else is doing this, okay? So and for paper 1, more than you will have more than enough content, so you need to consolidate that. 3-4 copies will be filled, and you will be like, uh, what all I am getting from this, because for a topic you will have 4 pages, 5 pages, and the max answer will be maximum 20 marker. It cannot be more than that. So your content should be like, what can I fit in the copies, answer sheet. So you have to prepare your notes apart from the sir notes and consulting other sources. You have to make your own pages for each unit. There are 20 units in paper and 20 unit total 20 units, like 10 in paper 1 and 10 in paper 2. So you have to have some pages, say around 10-20 pages for each unit, which will be useful for revision also at the end. Okay, so start doing it right on, like when sir is completing geomorphology, you also complete your notes, that consolidated notes. That would take effort, but it would save time in future when you're going to write that test series and all. Then it would be helpful for you. That's all, nothing more. You can, like, much of practice is required, so keep on. Books, books I don't recommend, sir. Like, notes are enough, more than enough. Uh, it is not exam of knowledge. It is exam of how much better you present it. Like, in my first attempt, I got 287 marks in geography in 2017. The paper was very difficult, sir will tell you. And in that paper, I hadn't considered any book, literally any book. No Sarendra Singh, no Majid Sen, no book, just my notes. And it was like, what I felt was my presentation was good. Then the content which I was having, I presented it beautifully. So I got this much marks. Don't leave any question, because nobody is going to leave any question. Okay, so speed up if you are slow, and the handwriting should be neat and clean, presentable, readable. So you have to work on these all aspects apart from the content. Okay, and more books, if you want, you can have any other notes, like you can have any notes. No particular suggestion, or Sabir sir or any sir. Sir के notes बहुत अच्छे हैं, मैंने पढ़े हैं, खुद पढ़े, इस बार भी पढ़े हैं मैं. तो you can refer 2-3 notes. You can combine your own notes. Himanshu sir, kuch some areas you can read, like human geography is good, and in paper 1 physical geography also is good. So you can consider that. Geomorphology specifically, don't read. I don't recommend like Sabir sir. It's too bulky, geomorphology. 1 copy of geomorphology, and you will like end up wasting 2 months in recollecting what I am getting from these notes. So I wasted. I would recommend, don't waste it. Okay. So, okay, sir. In this is like extra reading, that geography and you magazines, Kurukshetra. You can make your own notes, jottings, some case study examples, some relevant data which you can collect, and you can put it in your answer. When you are making your own notes, write that data in then and there, and you can use that thereafter. Okay, like when you got, say, a book on irrigation or a book on agriculture, when you find a relevant data, so write it there in your notes, and it would be helpful. Like it would take time, it would like require your say dedication, and when you are writing, doing it on daily basis or weekly basis, it would be compiled, and you'll feel after some time that you have much content to write. Okay, relevant content. Writing 3 pages and getting 0, it doesn't make sense. It's better to leave that question and utilize time somewhere else. Okay, so you can use these notes also, like books also, magazines. It's not a rule. You can refer summary also. Summary are provided by summary will do. No need. Diagrams effective. You can refer books like the standard books. Savin Singh has very good diagrams, and some diagrams would be extra. Like sir provides very good diagrams, or you can innovate also. Like I would tell you some flowcharts you can innovate. When you have say less time, you can use flowcharts to say what you were about to write in a paragraph. Okay, that you can do. Because in geography, especially for the fifth question which we have to attempt, first we have to select it, and second we have to write it also. What I have realized is around 25 minutes, 30 minutes is left, but when you calculate, each question should be given 35 minutes, okay, around 35 minutes to write. So for the last question we have less time. So in that, this technique can be useful when you have some schematics ready, or you can then and there make something. Yes, yes, definitely you can do it. Questions like, see, you have to prepare all the 20 units. You cannot leave any unit that from this portion I won't attempt, because the questions are jumbled. When you read the paper, 20 marker, 15 marker, 15 mark. So the do attempt that area where you know maximum, like a 120 marker you know, and 115 marker you know. And 115 marker, even if you are not sure, but you are knowing something about it, okay? So you can write. So choose like this, and when you have no idea, then you have no choice also, okay? It would come by, say have a small size map, okay, and move your hand regularly, say around 5-10 minutes daily, and after some time your hand will automatically move. Paper one mapping question. Paper two mapping question. Okay, first question. Uh, this year I'm not like, I didn't know 5 entries. Last time it was like 7-8 entry I did. But mapping can be done when you GK today. There is places in news. Places in news, you can refer that, or you can do some online. Many coachings are providing map entries daily. You can do daily, or you can join Himanshu sir's course is also there for mapping before mains. You can do that. Only for diagrams. There is no such compilation. It is that. Yes, I have used. You can use. Don't use red. Okay. The rest you can use. You can use it. I have used. This time also I have used. Okay. Sir.
Thank you. We hope so he gets selected this year. So coming to the air masses, again our approach will be the same definition, but वही GS वाला definition है. We will have to write any thinker, and the best thinker is Trevartha. Fine. So air mass as a concept was developed during World War I. Air mass as a concept was developed during World War I by Jerkins and Jerkins. By Jerkins and Jerkins. B is silent. They are Norwegian, so यहाँ पे B is always silent. By Jerkins and Jerkins. And the concept got established in 1930s to predict short range forecasting. Predict short range forecasting. Short range forecasting is always for 24 to 36 hours. next, it is defined as an immense body of air immense body of air. It is defined as an immense body of air usually 16,000 kilometers or more, usually 1600 kilometers or more, 1600 kilometers or more. Characterized by homogeneous physical properties. Characterized by homogeneous physical properties. Characterized by homogeneous physical properties. Across different altitudes. Across different altitudes. ब्रैकेट में त्रिवार्था Who gave this definition? Trivartha. This physical body becomes an air mass. If the air remains in contact, with the air remains in contact for a couple of days, with the air remains in contact for a couple of days. देखो अब इसका मतलब समझ में आया? If it remains in contact for 3 or more days, it will acquire the characteristics of this region. So what are the characteristics? If it is a moist region, it will acquire moisture. If it is a dry region, it will acquire dryness. If it is a hot region, it will be hot. Fine. So this is what is known as an characteristics of an air mass. So next point, air masses retain their identity even after moving away from the source regions. Even after moving from their source regions. But such original identity is retained only in upper parts of air masses. Identity is retained only in the upper parts of air masses. इसका मतलब है the air mass, if it is moving from one region to another, if this is one particular air mass, it has come to now the sea level. After coming to sea level, changes will occur only in the lower parts. The upper part will remain as it is. The lower part will become changed. The changing of the air mass हमारा question है. Air masses modification. Fine. हमारा दूसरा question है source region of the air masses. I told you yesterday there are some few source regions of the air masses. The next question will be how the air mass modification occurs. What are the different types of modification? So the modification of the air mass is always known as a thermodynamic modification of an air mass. Thermodynamic modification of an air mass. Clear? So you see, after talking to Abu now, you must have realized कि ये optional में 10 महीने देने पड़ते हैं खुद के. It is not like other optionals. कि जहाँ ऊपर की यहाँ की बातें वहाँ कर सकते हो, वहाँ की बातें यहाँ कर सकते हो, ऐसे नहीं है. It has to be exact because it is mostly scientific in nature. You will have to give 10 months. अभी 4-5 महीने, एग्जाम के बाद 2-3 महीने, 7 months में भी काम चल जाएगा. But you will have to work very hard for this optional. Next point. If you have taken any engineering optional, any science optional, same होता. If you take any humanities optional, you can take one thought and write it at some other place. You can play with the words. But वो भी skill सबको नहीं होती. ये भी एक बात है. Public administration is very small, but the questions become very tough. The skill is required. Getting it? Next, source regions of the air masses. Source regions of the air masses. Before I go, you should know what is a cold air mass, whose temperature is colder than area it visits. What is warm air mass, whose temperature is warmer than area it visits. Clear with this, everyone? This is what is the cold and the warm air masses. Next point, source region. Air masses develop only in the regions उसके बाद point 1, having extensive uniform topography means it has to be very, very flat. It does not have to be irregular. Clear with the yesterday's explanation? And second, tell me convergent airflow or divergent airflow? The airflow has to be divergent, yeah, the airflow has to be convergent. If it is convergent, it will rise upwards. It will remain unstable. If it is divergent, it will remain at the place और बहुत high pressure के बाद धीरे से move करेगा. So which has to be the airflow, convergent or divergent? Divergent. If it is convergent, there will be modification as per the height. Some part will become stable, some part will be unstable. Fine. So second is the area should have comparatively gentle and divergent airflow so that air stays in that region. For comparatively longer time. So that air stays in that region for comparatively longer time. याद रखना, convergent air low pressure belt is not suitable for air masses. So in the same point, thus high barometric pressure, high barometric pressure is ideal for development of air masses. High barometric pressure is ideal for development of air masses. When we study the air masses, we divide them into two regions, that is the primary source region and the secondary source region. Just we divide the jet streams into permanent jet streams and the secondary jet streams. So what is important for exam is primary source region, but the examiner should know that you also know there is something known as secondary source regions, fine. So ये diagram लिखाऊंगा नहीं, source regions of the air mass, primary and secondary, primary and secondary. The primary source regions are, those areas where air mass lies, for a fairly long period. There are 6 primary source regions. रटना पड़ेगा ये. There are 6 primary source regions. 1. Polar oceanic areas. Polar oceanic areas. Can I say North Atlantic and North Pacific इसमें? Polar oceanic areas. That is North Atlantic Ocean, between Canada and Northern Europe, and Russia and North America. दो regions है in the world map. The second region is between Russia and North America. This region, the Pacific wala region. Here is the Russia, here is the USA wala region. But we will not say just USA because here there is Canada also. Second, polar and Arctic continental areas. Polar and Arctic continental areas. And see, in the examination, what you should do is polar oceanic areas, MP. Polar and Arctic continental areas, CP, continental polar air mass. These are the things you should develop on your own. मैं पढ़ाते समय एक फ्लो, एक order follow करूँगा, but you should be able to develop this on your own. Third, subtropical oceanic areas, MT, maritime tropical air mass. Fourth, tropical and subtropical continental areas. tropical and subtropical continental areas such as Sahara, Mississippi Valley, Mississippi Valley. Fifth, monsoon lands of Southeast Asia. Monsoon lands of Southeast Asia, जहाँ जहाँ flat है, Himalayas छोड़ के नीचे का region is more or less flat. So monsoon lands of Southeast Asia. And sixth, equatorial regions. South Asia, South Asia. Sorry, South Asia and Southeast Asia both. South Asia and Southeast Asia both. Monsoon land of South and Southeast Asia. And lastly, equatorial regions. Now, why is equatorial regions? हमने अभी देखा कि low pressure belt should not be a region of air mass. Then why we are writing equatorial regions? That is when the ITCZ is not located over the equator. When it is located over the Tropic of Cancer या Tropic of Capricorn, उस समय air masses will develop. Somali jet stream is what? Southwest monsoon is what? An air mass which develops over the equatorial region and then comes to India. Fine, but not when ITCZ is exactly over the equator. Getting it? I am giving you 5 minutes and draw a world map for this 6 source regions. To थोड़ा दिमाग चलाओ. आज सबको नींद आ रही है, including me, because the weather is that. There is a sudden change in the weather. So and give the numbering what you have given, the same numbering. It will be somewhat like this, right? And this will be C P air mass. This will be M P air mass. This will be C P air mass. This will be M P air mass. This will be M T C T M T M P MT, and this will be CT air mass. This is the diagram. Monsoon lands of Asia, you are saying. This is maritime air mass. There is also a continental air mass, it will be very, very small. Only during the winter, so I am not showing that. What happened? Have you finished drawing this? I'll give you the short forms. Everyone, can I continue? याद रखना air masses are very easy if you know C stands for continental, M stands for maritime, that is on the oceans. T, capital T stands for tropical, capital P stands for polar, नहीं आराम से थोड़ी देर. अभिषेक, 1 2 चैतन्य 3 जयेश 4.
जय सर तो शायद बोल रहे थे मैं निकल जाऊंगा क्योंकि उनके भाई का बर्थडे है, उनके पेरेंट्स भी आए हुए हैं.
अच्छा, तो किनके साथ निकल जाएंगे?
वो बोले कि मैं क्लास के बाद डायरेक्ट मेट्रो से निकल जाऊंगा.
अच्छा, नहीं तो जयेश को फ़ोन करके बोलना मेरी होगा. एयर मासेस आर, दैट इज व्हाट मॉडिफिकेशन ऑफ एन एयर मास होगा. एयर मास में मॉडिफिकेशन होगा ओशन करंट से. ओशन करंट से एयर मास ज़्यादा गर्म हो जाएगा, अनस्टेबल हो जाएगा. कॉन्टिनेंट पे भी होगा. कॉन्टिनेंट का अगर नहीं, एयर मास रुकेगा नहीं ना. सिटी एयर मास अगर आता है इन द रीजन्स ऑफ गल्फ स्ट्रीम तो वो ज़्यादा वार्म और मॉइस्ट हो जाएगा, अनस्टेबल हो जाएगा. W stands for warm, small k stands for cold, small u stands for unstable, and small s stands for stable. Except for T and P, बाकी कोई भी कैपिटल में नहीं है. अंडरस्टैंडिंग? कैन यू अंडरस्टैंड दिस डायग्राम? कैसा है वो? MP मैरीटाइम पोलार, MT मैरीटाइम ट्रॉपिकल, कॉन्टिनेंटल पोलार, कॉन्टिनेंटल ट्रॉपिकल, मैरीटाइम ट्रॉपिकल, मैरीटाइम पोलार, कॉन्टिनेंटल ट्रॉपिकल, ड्राई एयर मास, warm air mass if it is in the summer season, maritime tropical. And see now how the answer is very easy. Land will get very cold during the winters, so the deserts regions will be colder than the surrounding Mediterranean Sea. So if this CT air masses comes to the Mediterranean Sea during the winters, it is an example of a cold air mass. If it comes to the Mediterranean Sea during the summers, it is an example of warm air mass. Warm air mass में ज़्यादा evaporation होगा, and after reaching the Europe due to the Alps, it will be forced to rise up, and thus it will become unstable. Getting it? This is how air masses are modified. Monsoon क्या है? Maritime tropical warm unstable air mass. That is what is the monsoon. एक छोटा डायग्राम, डोंट वेस्ट एंटायर पेज ऑन दिस डायग्राम. एक छोटा डायग्राम बॉक्स में, इवन इफ द क्वेश्चन इज नॉट आस्क्ड ऑन द एयर मास डायरेक्टली, इनडायरेक्टली अगर एयर मासेस पे क्वेश्चन है, फ्रंट्स पे क्वेश्चन है, मेक दिस डायग्राम. क्या है जनरल रूल? हर एक क्वेश्चन पे एक डायग्राम मिनिमम, शॉर्ट नोट में भी एक डायग्राम मिनिमम. क्यों? क्योंकि बाकी के बनाते हैं इसलिए. सो योर आंसर शुड बी बेटर देन द अदर्स आंसर्स. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट. If the air mass while moving over the other regions, causes stability or dry conditions, then it is known as stable air mass. And if it promotes rainfall or precipitation, better word is precipitation. If it promotes precipitation, then is known as unstable air mass. Modification of air masses, how the air masses are modified. So when we study the modification of air masses, there are two ways of how the air masses are modified. Don't get afraid by the words, सिर्फ words difficult है. One is known as thermodynamic modification. Other is known as mechanical modification. So there are two kinds of modification, thermodynamic modification and the mechanical modification. Tell me what will happen if a air mass from Pacific region during the winters goes to the Arctic regions of Canada. क्या होगा? If the air mass from the Pacific regions goes to the Arctic regions of Canada during the winters, what will happen? क्या हो जाएगा? क्यों टेम्परेचर? फ्रंट्स छोड़ो, क्या होगा वैसे? फॉग, यू आर राइट. क्यों फॉग होगा? हाँ, पैसिफिक ओशन का वाटर वार्म होगा और लैंड विल बी मोर कोल्डर, सो इट विल गो ऑन द कोल्ड सरफेस. कोल्ड सरफेस पे जाके इट विल कूल और बिकम वार्म. व्हाट? इट विल कूल. So cooling or heating is thermodynamic modification. Understanding? And what will happen if it comes to Himalayas? Will it be forced to rise up? Suppose any air mass comes to Himalayas, will it be forced to rise up? And because of rising, uska moisture holding capacity will decrease and it may give rainfall. So it is known as mechanical modification. मतलब any air mass में जब temperature change होगा, thermodynamic, heating or cooling, it is thermodynamic modification. When it is, there is a mechanical ascent. देखो हमने mechanical instability की है, mechanical inversion किया है. क्या है? Forceful rise. Forceful rise कब होगा? When there is a mountain. So it is mechanical. In geography, mechanical means rise. इतना याद रखो. Fine? Mountains, cyclonic factors. Extreme low pressure belt. Because of that, it will be heated. Because of heating, it will rise up. Air mass can rise due to numerous factors, but it can be either thermodynamic, either has to be mechanical. Mechanical में mountains. So thermodynamic modification. Involves heating or cooling from below. Involves heating or cooling from below. ये separate question आएगा modification of an air masses. Thermodynamic modification involves heating or cooling from below, full stop. Due to this, there is change in the moisture content of an air mass. Either by decreased evaporation or increased evaporation. Either by decreased evaporation or increased evaporation. Full stop. An air mass after originating from the source region, goes to some other region, and is modified due to thermodynamic factors, that is heating and cooling. इसलिए we are using the word thermodynamic factors of the source region. Modified due to thermodynamic factors of the source region. Is modified due to the thermodynamic factors of the source region. These are the prairies, continental tropical air mass. This is the Gulf Stream, which is flowing here. Fine. अब ये continental tropical air mass, if it is coming to this region during the winters, imagine during the winters, क्या होगा? Will it get heated or cooled? Heated. Will it become moist or dry once it moves to this region? It will become moist, and once it acquires the moisture, it may give rainfall, right? But if this continental tropical air mass goes to this region, कहीं पे भी जा सकता है, imagine, will it become heated or cooled? It will become cooled, and it will remain dry and stable. So can I say thermodynamic modification depends upon the initial characteristics of the air mass, कि whether it is cold or warm. Second, the characteristics of the source region it visits, and thirdly, path traveled by the air mass. Path traveled is very, very important. Getting it? So thermodynamic modification depends upon first initial characteristics of the air mass, second nature of the surface where it visits, whether it is land or water, right? Nature of the surface where it visits, whether it is land or whether it is water, ये है उसका मतलब. Third, path followed by the air mass. followed by the air mass, and last, time taken to reach the destination. Time taken to reach the destination. Time taken to reach the destination. If it goes very quickly, लिखना नहीं है. Time taken to reach the destination. I am explaining you this. If it goes very quickly, it will not acquire the characteristics of this region. But if it goes very, very slowly, it will acquire the characteristics. That is why time taken to reach the destination. Case study. An air mass moving over a warm surface. Case study. An air mass moving over the warm surface is heated from below comma, may become unstable, is heated from below, comma, may become unstable. क्यों unstable? Because the air will start rising up. May become unstable due to upward movement, and if there is sufficient moisture, it may give precipitation. If there is sufficient moisture, it may give precipitation. If there is sufficient moisture, it may give precipitation. Example, मतलब उसी के अंदर maritime tropical air mass, originating in the Indian Ocean, reaches India to become unstable southwest monsoon rains. Rainfall. Clear? कोई बुकिश नॉलेज की ज़रूरत नहीं, इतना आसान टॉपिक है. इफ़ यू अंडरस्टैंड दिस, आप खुद ही एग्जाम्पल्स बना सकते हो. गेटिंग इट? नेक्स्ट, मैकेनिकल मॉडिफिकेशन. Also known as dynamic modification. Full stop. This involves vertical uplift. Underline the word uplift, not vertical uplift. Underline the word uplift. It is not advection. खुद से नहीं जा रहा है वो. It is uplifted. Vertical uplift or downward subsidence. Due to first, mountain barrier, second, cyclonic conditions, whether it is heated or not heated, cyclone hai to it will be going upwards. Understanding? Cyclonic conditions. Third, anticyclonic conditions. Anticyclonic conditions. Anticyclonic conditions. Anticyclonic conditions may it will subside. Cyclonic conditions may it will go up. And last, fourth, due to turbulence and eddies, due to turbulence and eddies, जेट स्ट्रीम अगर ऐसे जा रही है तो there will be turbulence on the ground and thus the air mass will start going upwards. This is what is known as turbulence and eddies. Not necessarily नीचे का air mass is heated. Getting it? Based on this, based on the thermodynamic and mechanical modification, based on thermodynamic and mechanical modification, there are 16 types of air masses. There are 16 types of air masses. And now you can draw this quickly. Try to try that everything comes in the same line.
hope you are able to follow this. Maritime and continental. Continental में maritime, continental tropical, continental polar. Maritime में maritime tropical, polar, and then warm cold. उसके बाद every one we have dividing into stable, unstable, stable, unstable. Have you joined any test series? Are you able to complete the papers? GS, optional, any? How what? You are writing GS with in time limit. If you are using ink pen in the examination, I doubt you will be able to complete the paper. If you have practiced, then it's not an issue. Try writing a paper on the time limit. Can I continue? अब हमें पढ़ना है this air masses 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if you read the books properly, all these air masses are given, but how they have given it? They have given it as the air masses of North America, air masses of North America में फिर समर टाइम एयर मासेस, विंटर एयर मासेस ऑफ एशिया, समर टाइम, विंटर. वो 3-4 पेजेस का कंटेंट है विच इज़ यूजलेस फॉर अस. एग्जाम में ऐसे नहीं आएगा. एग्जाम में डायरेक्टली आएगा राइट अ शॉर्ट नोट ऑन CP, CT, MP, MT. इसमें यू विल हैव टू राइट एन आंसर. सी फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई एम कैरिंग सविंदर सिंह विथ मी. हाउ द सविंदर सिंह इज डूइंग? क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ एयर मासेस वो सब हो गया, एंड देन कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ मेजर एयर मासेस, air masses of North America. North America summertime air masses. Then air masses of Asia, winter, summer. Air masses of Europe, winter, summer. And that is there. So ये पढ़ के ना कुछ याद रहता है ना कुछ काम में आता है. So we should be studying in the holistic manner only for some 150 words. Every air mass का 150 word should be ready for with you. Fine? इसके beyond question नहीं जाएगा in the air masses. So we'll start with the UPSC का favorite, that is the CP air mass. Done? Can I continue? You will be able to make it? So 2 डायग्राम्स आने चाहिए सोर्स रीजन के एंड ये फ्लो चार्ट. फाइन. सो कॉन्टिनेंटल पोलर एयर मास. थिंक योरसेल्फ व्हाट यू आर गोइंग टू राइट. क्वेश्चन आता है, यू हैव गॉन अनप्रिपेयर्ड देन व्हाट यू वुड हैव डन इन द एग्जामिनेशन. कॉन्टिनेंटल पोलर एयर मास कैसे तो करके 150 वर्ड्स लिखने हैं, 100 words लिखने in this on this air mass. So what you would have written? डायग्राम में क्या पर क्या दिखाओगे डायग्राम में? यस, कहाँ पे ओरिजिनेट होता है वो सबसे पहला पॉइंट. फिर वो समर्स में कैसा होगा, विंटर्स में कैसे होगा. फाइन. फिर वो जाएगा तो कैसे करेगा, यही है इसका आंसर. जाएगा मतलब इफ इट इज गोइंग फ्रॉम लैंड टू द सी ड्यूरिंग द समर्स व्हाट विल हैपन. इफ इट इज गोइंग फ्रॉम लैंड टू द सी ड्यूरिंग द विंटर्स what will happen? If instead of going from land to the sea, surrounding sea, if it comes in the southern hemisphere, if it comes to the southern latitudes, matlab lower latitudes, what will happen? So winters mein if it comes to the lower latitudes, it results into polar vortex event. That is, it brings snowfall. Answer khatam. Fine? It is very easy. So continental polar air mass originates on the extensive cold surfaces of extensive cold surfaces of Canada and Siberia. Cold surfaces of Canada and Siberia. Next, when they move outwards, they are thermodynamically as well as mechanically modified. They are thermodynamically as well as mechanically modified. Next, this air mass is generally cold and dry, right or wrong? This air mass is generally cold and dry, right? This air mass is generally cold and dry. And therefore, when it moves over to the warmer surface, especially during the summers, they are heated from below. They are heated from below. They are heated from below. And they become unstable. They become unstable. When this air mass in North America, when this air mass moves southward in North America, when this air mass moves southwards, it picks up moisture. From the Great Lakes region. It picks up moisture from the Great Lakes region and gives precipitation in the lower latitudes of South America. In the lower latitudes around New York, Washington, and draw this diagram. See, these diagrams are not in any books. This is what Abhinav told you. The diagrams खुद बनाने आने चाहिए, सोच के. Understanding this diagram? If it is moving in one region, it may become wet or dry. So you are showing in the diagram kis region mein they are dry and in which region it will remain wet. Can I continue? During the winters, the continental polar air mass is responsible for, during the winters, the continental polar air mass is responsible for bringing cold waves to the southern states of USA. Bringing cold waves to the southern states of USA. Especially in the Great Plains of North America. Especially in the Great Plains of America, North America. और if you want, देखो ये पढ़ाई के साथ हो जाएगा prairies, especially in the prairies. Great Plains of North America नहीं लिखोगे, you will write prairies. Prairies मतलब regions of North American grasslands. Next point. In Asia, in Asia, they originate over Siberia. In Asia, they originate over Siberia. In Asia, they originate over Siberia and Mongolia. In Asia, they originate over Siberia and Mongolia. Fine. So you take this handout and this is your home assignment. Air masses को बहुत छोटा fill in the blanks करना है. I have given you the diagrams बाजू में. Air masses पे काम करेंगे. Tropical cyclones etc. is very easy. Give me one. So वहाँ पे there are diagrams and there are blank points. So this should be your revision. पूरा air mass इसमें होना चाहिए. Can I continue? In the winters, so we have already made one diagram here. If you look, ये diagram हमने short में बना दिया. So you should be able to write what will happen here. In the summers, I have not made you write, but this is now understood. In the summers, what is going to happen? So क्या दिया है diagram में? In the summer, CP air is rather cool. Is cool rather than cold. Third page पे. Second diagram, lake snow effect के नीचे. This one, there is a lake snow effect, उसके नीचे. CP air in the summer, it is cool rather than cold and therefore daytime heating warms lower layer producing instability and fair weather cumulonimbus cloud. Fine. उसके ऊपर वाला पॉइंट हमने लिखा है which in USA is known as lake snow effect. What is this lake snow effect? The same point. Cold air is warmed near the surface of the water, becomes unstable, The rising warm air, moist air creates clouds and the snow on the leeward side of the lake. So leeward side of the lake is Washington DC and New York region. Understanding? एक तो windward side, this one. This is the leeward side. So it is coming, it is taking up moisture, and moisture के बाद it is giving snowfall in this region. So leeward side of the lake. New York, Washington DC, yeah, New England region. Rather than writing New York, Washington DC, the perfect word will be New England region. This region of North America and Canada is known as New England. Why New England? Same? England has warm ocean current, this has cold ocean current, Labrador region. There is a Labrador current here. England has same altitude. So you'll call Arunachal as New Everest region. Industrial revolution. New England region इसलिए because after the industrial revolution, England में there was so much increase in the population because labor was required, right? Population density became very high. There was extreme rich poor ka gap with the coming up of the capitalist society, and hence people who were poor migrated in the search of jobs. They migrated and they all settled in this region, making this region dominated by migrants from England, and इसीलिए this is New England region. इसके ऊपर is Quebec, province of Canada, which is French. And Quebec wants a separate country. It wants separation from Canada. Why? Because most of the Canada is English. Fine? So this is New England region of North America. ये पूरा, because English people who migrated from England came and settled here. And because English people came and settled here, जो है mostly who were Protestants, not Roman Catholics. This region is developed, and वहाँ पे industrial revolution आया. Industrial revolution is always brought by Protestant, not by Roman Catholics. Why? Geographical thought में समझ में आएगा. Because Protestant is a revolutionary form of Christianity, which does not believe in church and pope. And because you do not believe in pope, you are more scientific. You engage in population control. Christianity does not allow subjugation of others, but Protestant में सब कुछ allowed है. Fine? And therefore this became capitalist class, and once they became capitalist class, they started ruling. Fine? So Protestant जो है, Catholics जो है, versus Roman Catholics, Protestants are always open-minded. इसलिए इंग्लैंड के अंडर जो इंडिया था, दैट इज वाज वेरी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम पोर्चुगीज के अंडर जो इंडिया और फ्रेंच के अंडर जो इंडिया, बिकॉज अदर्स आर रोमन कैथलिक्स. गेटिंग इट? प्रोटेस्टेंट इज नॉर्थ अमेरिका एंड यूरोप, नॉर्थ वेस्टर्न यूरोप डेवलप्ड. जो रोमन कैथलिक्स है, दैट इज साउथ अमेरिका एंड ईस्टर्न यूरोप अंडर डेवलप्ड. रिलीजन प्लेज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल इन डेवलपमेंट. फिर प्रोटेस्टेंट रियलाइज्ड कि फॉर देम to control the class or to control the economy, they require power. So they started making a form of government जिसको कहते हैं हम democracy. Democracy is an outcome of capitalism. जहाँ capitalism होगा वहीं democracy survive करेगी, and vice versa. फिर they realized कि to make the people work, there has to be universal time. इसलिए 1857 में they divided the world into time zones. Greenwich Mean Time, in the International Standard Time, ताकि लोग घड़ी से आए 8 बजे, 5 बजे तक काम करें और बाद में चले जाए. अंडरस्टैंडिंग? So this is the most developed part of USA. इसलिए we call this as New England region. So what is that rainfall is known as lake snow effect. These are so big lakes कि they act as a sea and therefore they give enough moisture. Had there been one river, it would have not made any difference. It is the lake which is making a difference, therefore lake snow effect. Clear? So understood how to use this worksheet? Yes. Detroit, Pittsburgh, Sarah. Chicago, New York, Washington, Sarah New England region. Detroit is on Lake Michigan. Sorry, Lake Erie. Chicago is on Lake Michigan. Auto hub of the world. Fine. Now come to the notes. इसको घर पे जाके जब आप रिवाइज करोगे तो फिल इन द ब्लैंक्स भरना है बस. और ये 10 पेजेस के जो नोट्स है वो 4 पेजेस में हो जाने चाहिए ताकि एग्जाम के समय वही रिवाइज करोगे, नथिंग एल्स. क्योंकि एयर मासेस इस साल नहीं आया, पिछले साल भी नहीं आया, मतलब अगले साल आएगा, इसीलिए. एंड बाद में जब आप पढ़ोगे देन यू विल रियलाइज कि सबसे सरदर्दी एयर मासेस है, बाकी कुछ नहीं है. बाकी क्लाइमेट इज वेरी इजी. सबसे सरदर्दी एयर मासेस है. इवन इफ आई आस्क टुडे आफ्टर वन रिवीजन यू नो व्हाट आर द 2 थियरीज ऑफ क्लाउड फॉर्मेशन. एक है आइस क्रिस्टल थियरी कि आइस बनना चाहिए, फिर वो डिस्टर्ब होना चाहिए, फिर आइस बन के वो नीचे आना चाहिए. एक है कोलिजन कोएलिसेंस थियरी. एक ही थियरी है, राइट. कोरल्स की फॉर्मेशन की 3 थियरीज है. फाइन. सबसिडेंस थियरी ऑफ डार्विन, देन मरे की स्टैंडस्टिल थियरी, दोनों को रिजेक्ट करते हैं the last theory. So this is not like geomorphology. Very easy topics are there. So isme the fill in the blanks or notes should be there. Air masses we find it difficult because it is factual. Otherwise, what is climate? Climate is very very easy. Right? Climate में कुछ भी नहीं है. And climate इतना भी पढ़ोगे जितना ऑप्शनल के लिए उतना ही GS के लिए पढ़ना है. Except for Thornwright and Copen. Last year there was a question on air mass. This year there was a question on upwelling, downwelling and of ocean currents and how it affects the biodiversity. What will never come in GS is Copen, Thornwright, Penck, Davis. Next. Where did I stop? The continental air mass of Asia. Did we do that? And Mongolia. They move eastwards. And are mechanically modified. Underline this word, mechanically modified. Why mechanically modified? Because यहाँ पे माउंटेन्स है एशिया में. नो, ईस्टवर्ड्स, चाइना की तरफ. तेनशान, कुनलुनशान, अल्तुनशान, इतने सारे माउंटेन्स हैं. आर मैकेनिकली मॉडिफाइड. दे विल नॉट मूव वेस्टवर्ड्स. याद रखना यूरल्स की तरफ नहीं जाएंगे बिकॉज ऊपर जेट स्ट्रीम है, पोलर फ्रंट जेट स्ट्रीम, विच इज ऑलवेज मूविंग फ्रॉम वेस्ट टू ईस्ट. सो दे विल ऑलवेज मूव ईस्टवर्ड्स. यस, southeastwards, mechanically modified to enter China. They bring huge amount of dust and sands. they bring huge amount of dust and sands to deposit them over in China and deposit them in China. Such deposits are termed as Loess deposits. Such deposits are termed as Loess deposits. LOESS, Loess deposits. एग्जाम में डायरेक्ट लिखो तो दे ब्रिंग ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ लोएस्ट डिपॉजिट्स फॉर चाइना. What I told you, Loess means Multani mitti. So it comes from Mongolia. Yellow sands, they are deposited in the regions जहाँ पे Wangho flows. We'll call this river as Yellow River and the sea as Yellow Sea. China में भी हम कहते हैं there is a monsoon type of climate. Understanding why it is a monsoon type of climate? Pseudo monsoon area में आएगा China because यहाँ पे during the winters there is a high pressure and there is a low pressure. So wind will flow from here to here. And during the summers there will be low pressure here, there will be high pressure. So wind will flow from here to here. So we call China as temperate monsoon. This is the tropical monsoon. China is temperate monsoon or China type of climate. Sometimes they move towards Japan. Westerlies. Sometimes they move towards Japan. Picking up moisture. And giving abundant rainfall over Japan. The convergence of continental polar air mass and maritime tropical air mass. Maritime tropical कैसा होगा? Obviously warmer. Maritime tropical air mass gives rise to fronts and temperate cyclones. Gives rise to fronts and temperate cyclones. Clear with these diagrams? कहाँ पे ओरिजिनेट होगा? पैसिफिक और नॉर्थ अटलांटिक. नॉर्थ अटलांटिक में जब जाएगा तो ईस्टर्न नॉर्थ वेस्टर्न यूरोप में इट इज गोइंग टू गिव रेनफॉल, टू गिव ब्रिटिश टाइप ऑफ क्लाइमेट, एवरीडे रेनफॉल. ऑब्वियसली द warm ocean current, whether it is the North Atlantic drift or North Pacific drift, will make it warm and unstable. America mein it will give rainfall only on the northwestern part throughout the year. When it will cross the mountains, Rockies, it will start descending, and when it starts descending, it will become stable and warm. That descending air mass is known as local wind of Chinook. Give me an local wind ka handout. The same thing we have drawn here. Understanding? So read Chinook first and you will understand this. And why this is so important, wind Chinook. देखो ऊपर क्या दिया है, the temperature is minus 12 degrees Celsius and नीचे temperature is plus 18 degrees Celsius. How much increase of the temperature just by descending? So Chinook is warm dry wind which flows down the slope on the eastern side of the Rockies Mountains of North America, no need of cascade. The literal meaning of Chinook is snow eater. It mainly affects USA. The winds ascend along the western slope of the Rockies. Why? Because the maritime polar air mass will this is the maritime polar air mass which will rise on the western slope of the Rockies. This is what is written there. And then after crossing, they will descend on the eastern slope of the Rockies. Getting it? So the winds यहाँ पे मतलब है maritime polar air mass, but इतना technically लिखने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Ascend on the western slope of the Rockies and are cooled by dry adiabatic lapse rate of 1 degree Celsius per 100 meters or 10 degrees Celsius per 1000 meters. This wind becomes saturated, and after reaching the higher altitude, the winds become saturated after reaching the higher altitude. This happens due to increase in relative humidity caused by decrease in temperature. ये आपको पता है. Clouds are formed after saturation and rainfall occurs. The latent heat of condensation is released after precipitation is added to the ascending winds. And as a result of this, the temperature of the ascending wind decreases at the moist adiabatic lapse rate of 5 degrees Celsius per 1000 meters. After crossing over the crest of the Rockies, matlab the top of the Rockies, this wind descend along the eastern slope and are heated by the dry adiabatic lapse rate. The warmth of the Chinook may be exclusively due to the heating by compression as the air descends on the eastern slope. Fine. I am skipping one statement in between and directly coming, when the air descends on the leeward side of the mountains, it is warmer than the same higher on the western side. Means jo height pe hai, on the eastern side is warmer than the western side. This is the meaning of this. Most often these winds occur in the narrow zone of around 300 kilometers east to the crest of the Rockies from New Mexico into Canada. Chinooks are gusty winds and can reach a velocity of 160 kilometers per hour. Chinook have a number of conflicting climatic and economic effects. As they descend on the leeward slope, they become warm and dry. The warmth is more noticeable by deserts in the regions of the desert. With the qualities of high temperature and low humidity, they can attain the capacity to melt the snow quickly as if by magic. And therefore, they are known to remove 150 millimeters of snow in a day. Removal of half a meter of a snow in a single day has been recorded, and isliye they are known as the snow eaters. Apart from being snow eaters, these winds are known for causing sudden rise of temperature, and the rise of 10 to 15 degrees Celsius within the span of few minutes is very common phenomena. Getting it? But economic effect last. The warming effect make the snow cover less persistent so that the livestock can graze in the open ranches throughout the winters. So it is open for the livestock for the winters. Obviously, I want you to just go through this handout, not to study this handout in detail. Answer में क्या क्या point आएंगे, I will discuss it once we finish the front section. Getting it? So हम किसकी बात कर रहे हैं? When we talk on the eastern side, we talk of the Chinook. When we talk on the western side, we talk of the maritime polar air masses, which will rise, give rainfall and then descend. Chinook is known as snow eater. Why? Because it will melt the snow. Clear? So, next point. The maritime polar air masses, originate in the similar latitudes as the CP air mass. CP air mass, but over the oceanic surfaces. Next point. These air masses cause more instability. Why they cause more instability? Because they are already wet. They cause more instability due to humidity, as well as frequent changes in the positions. Due to permanent winds. Winds are more permanent over the oceans, right? So therefore they will be moved due to permanent winds. Next point. The maritime polar air mass is known for giving rainfall throughout the year. In the northwestern region of USA. Again, फिर से change the point. Along the European coast, this air mass is modified by warm North Atlantic drift, and mechanical or dynamic modification of this air mass is associated with precipitation throughout the year. In northwestern Europe. Next point, such precipitation such precipitation is more during the summers. Is more during the summers. Due to strong warm currents. Due to strong warm currents. Adding more moisture to these air masses. Next point. But in the regions of East Asia, maritime polar air mass is associated with cold weather conditions. Caused by cold ocean currents such as Kuroshio current. Caused by cold ocean currents such as Kuroshio current. Caused by Kuroshio current. Clear with this? You have just told वहाँ पे क्या होगा, यहाँ पे क्या होगा, यहाँ पे क्या होगा. Here is a cold current, there is a warm current, there is a warm current. वहाँ पे rainfall throughout the year, यहाँ पे also rainfall throughout the year. Here no major effect because this line, I am rubbing this line using some other color. This black color line which I am drawing is the cold, not Kuroshio but Oyashio current. जापान, कोरिया वो सब इन्फ्लुएंस हो जाएंगे. लास्ट पॉइंट मैंने दिया नहीं है, लीव सम स्पेस आफ्टर दिस डायग्राम. you finish drawing this diagram? Can I continue? Which is this air mass? यहाँ पे continental, polar. During the winters, which are these winds that are stronger? Polar easterlies. They will take this air mass downwards. It will enter this region. क्या बन जाता है वो? Continental polar is converted into maritime polar, and then it will enter USA. So look at page number 4 of your that workbook. वही air masses वाला. And look at the last diagram. This point is the most important point here and has to come in the exam. MP on the east coast of USA. दिया है. What is written there? CP, continental polar, air moves southward into North Atlantic, where it becomes MP. Can be carried by northeasterly winds. Northeasterly winds means polar easterlies. Back into eastern USA, making northeaster storm. So northwester जैसे हमारे इसमें काल बैसाखी is the famous local wind. In USA, one of the famous local wind is known as northeaster, and northeaster is what? It is not a good condition. It is a bad condition, and it is a nothing but MP, maritime polar में ही. So वही point हम लिखेंगे. Understanding? And you have the diagram. If you want to draw the diagram, you can draw later on in your notes. So continental polar air masses of Europe, continental polar air masses of Europe are modified to become maritime polar air mass, are modified to become maritime polar air mass. Enter North America. Enter North America. To bring bad moist weather. Bad moist weather. Characterized by temperature well below the freezing point. Temperature well below the freezing point. And snowfall. Known as nor'easters. Known as nor'easters. Known as nor'easters. क्यों cold weather? Because ऊपर which current is there? Labrador current is there, and Labrador current is an example of cold current. Fine. northeaster. Northeaster or northeaster, it is the same. Fine. Clear? The second most important after continental polar is maritime tropical. If there has been a question on continental polar, अगर यूपीएससी को सेम क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछना है तो they are going to ask you maritime tropical air mass, because इसमें है हमारा southwest monsoon. क्लियर? नेक्स्ट पॉइंट. सो क्या क्या लिखोगे इसमें? इमेजिन करो कहाँ कहाँ ओरिजिनेट हो रहा है. इंडियन ओशन. दूसरा, पैसिफिक में ओरिजिनेट होगा. यस. अटलांटिक में ओरिजिनेट होगा. यस. व्हेन इट कम्स ओरिजिनेट्स इन द इंडियन ओशन एंड इफ इट कम्स टू इंडिया, विच इज द विंड? साउथ वेस्ट मॉनसून विंड. व्हेन इट ओरिजिनेट्स इन द अटलांटिक, थोड़ा इमेजिन करो, इट इज ओरिजिनेटिंग इन द अटलांटिक, इट इज गोइंग टूवर्ड्स नॉर्थ अमेरिका, मतलब अमेरिका की तरफ जा रहा है. सो विच ओशियन करंट इट इज मीटिंग इन बिटवीन? गल्फ स्ट्रीम. क्या करेगा उसको और ज्यादा? वार्म. देन इट हैज एंटर्ड द prairies, इट इज गोइंग टू गिव द रेनफॉल, और वहां पे उसको दूसरा एयर मास मिलेगा जो नॉर्थ की तरफ से आ रहा है. व्हाट इज दैट? कॉन्टिनेंटल पोलार. ये दोनों मिलेंगे. वन इज कोल्ड, वन इज वार्म, वन इज ड्राई, वन इज मॉइस्ट. सो एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ दिस, that is the region of tornadoes, eastern USA. When the two converging air masses meet, it will result into formation of fronts. Because this front is happening in the region of warm air, जहाँ पे the continental polar air mass, that is the cold air is coming, दोनों का मिलाप, there will be tornadoes. No, on the land, tornadoes. Cyclones have totally different phenomena. Cyclones का कोई लेना देना ही नहीं. टेम्परेट साइक्लोन्स फॉर्म होंगे, बट टेम्परेट साइक्लोन्स एक्सट्रीम होगा, दैट इज द टॉर्नेडोज. कोल्ड फ्रंट लिखना है, टेम्परेट साइक्लोन्स नहीं लिखना है. गेटिंग इट? सिमिलरली सच एयर मासेस विल कम टूवर्ड्स. इन द पैसिफिक क्या होगा? This will come, trade winds are coming from east to west, so they will travel from east to west. So they will pick up the moisture and they will give rainfall to the South China Sea region and to the Japan coast. Getting it? इसमें सबसे important point है Indian monsoon and tornadoes वाला. Fine? Clear? So maritime tropical air masses. Maritime tropical air masses. This air masses originate over warm ocean surfaces. This air masses originate over warm ocean surfaces between 30° north and 30° south latitudes. North and 30° south latitudes. Next point. These are warm, moist. Why we are saying warm? Because ocean surface is generally warmer than the surrounding land. Warm, moist, and highly unstable. highly unstable because latent heat है इसके अंदर, right? Highly unstable, characterized by convection, having having cumulonimbus and cumulus clouds. Having cumulonimbus, NIMBS, इसमें हैंडराइटिंग थोड़ी अजीब आती है. Cumulonimbus and cumulus clouds. Having cumulonimbus and cumulus clouds. Third point. The Pacific air masses, when moving towards USA, become stable due to, you only tell me why. They are moving towards USA, they become stable, why? Imagine करो ocean current, वहाँ पे कौन सा है? On the western side of USA, कौन सा ocean current है? In the tropical regions. Which one? Alaska is in the northern part, tropical regions. California current is warm या cold? Cold. California current is cold current. It comes like this. इसीलिए ये region is desert. Understanding? So due to what you will write? Due to cold California current. Due to cold California current. Promoting aridity. But when they move towards Asia, they become highly unstable. Sometimes producing typhoons. Typhoons is the name of tropical cyclone in South China Sea. Producing typhoons. Understanding कैसे question answer लिखना है? You don't have to refer any book for this. Just imagine a map कि क्या हो रहा है. Producing typhoons due to warm Kuroshio current. Warm Kuroshio current. And the next point, very, very important. The weather of South and Southeast Asia, is largely controlled by highly unstable maritime tropical air mass originating in southern Indian Ocean, originating in southern Indian Ocean, known as summer monsoons, known as summer monsoons. Known as summer monsoons or southwest monsoon, known as summer monsoon or southwest monsoons. In the European region, in the European region, the tropical maritime air mass does not play a significant role, does not play a significant role because of horse latitudes, because of horse latitudes and cold ocean currents. Horse latitudes में क्या हो रहा है? Subsidence of air and cold ocean currents. And cold ocean currents. Fine. And world map एक last वाला. Understanding why dry, why wet, why cyclones? 30 degree north to 30 degree south. Our answer is mostly focusing on northern hemisphere. कौन सी? इस साइड भी जाएगी. It depends upon the shifting of the pressure belts. Good, he reminded me. ये wind इस साइड भी जाएगी. Yes. What? It depend करता है. If the pressure belt is, when the ITCZ is to the southern hemisphere, all the pressure belts will come down. This region will become the zone of westerlies. तो वो जाएगी west की तरफ. When the ITCZ is, when the sun is in the northern hemisphere, ITCZ is to the north. This region will come under the influence of trade winds. ये हमने इधर दिखाया है, दोनों जगह जा रही है. If it comes here, dry. If it comes here, wet. Make it bit tidy. मैंने बहुत ये कर दिया. You do it on your own. एयर मास खत्म नहीं हुए हैं. लास्ट इज रिमेनिंग कॉन्टिनेंटल ट्रॉपिकल. कॉन्टिनेंटल ट्रॉपिकल. Tell me what you are going to write. This is the region of continental tropical. 30 degree north and south. Will it be dry or wet? Dry. Most of these regions are the regions of deserts. So this will be extremely hot but dry air mass. Least important from our exam point of view is continental tropical air mass. ठीक है? But we'll write some 20-30 words regarding the continental tropical air mass. Getting it? Originate between 30 degree north and south. Sorry. They originate between 20 to 30 degrees north and south. They originate between 20 to 30 degree north and south. Full stop. Next point. This zone is characterized by high pressure and descending air. High pressure and descending air. High pressure and descending air. Because they are located in the subtropical, because they are located in the zone of subsidence.
because they are located in the zone of subsidence, subtropical high pressure belt. Next, this air mass has very high temperature, comma, are extremely arid, Next point, they rarely move out from their regions. Full stop. But when they move, मतलब वो हिलते ही नहीं है. क्यों? क्योंकि winds ही नहीं है. This is a zone of horse latitudes. वहाँ पे winds ही नहीं है. But when they move, they are modified into maritime tropical air masses. इसलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ इसमें क्वेश्चन ही नहीं आएगा. Understanding? They move out, they are modified into maritime tropical air masses. So, give me what will you write on the weather characteristics of air masses or importance of air masses. क्या क्या examples दोगे? All the examples what we have written should come कि write a short note on the air masses and identify the weather that is associated with them. एक एक example एक एक air mass का दो. Lake snow effect आने दो continental polar के साथ. Fine. Second maritime tropical के साथ. Let the Southeast Asian monsoons and cyclones come. Write the examples of each and every air mass. Remember, if the continental tropical air mass is not modified, but instead of modification, it reaches to some other region, this air mass will cause extremely dry weather conditions. एक point और लिखो continental tropical air mass में, that if the continental tropical air mass is not modified and reaches a region, it will promote extreme aridity. Similar to harmattan and Lu. Similar to harmattan, Harmattan and Lu. What is harmattan? Doctor wind. क्यों उसको कहते हैं doctor wind? Just remember this. This region of Africa is equatorial regions, जहाँ पे the climate is extremely hot and humid. उसके ऊपर is the Sahara Desert. So continental tropical air mass originates from the Sahara Desert, and the trade winds will take it to the right hand side in the northern hemisphere. So it moves to the right hand side. This is extremely dry, hot, and यहाँ का climate is hot and humid. कौन सा more dangerous है for human beings? Hot and humid, not this one. Fine, यहाँ पे पसीना, relative humidity is very very high, so very less people live in this region. यहाँ पे तो कोई नहीं रहता. So when this air mass comes here, जैसे ही ये air mass comes here, it absorbs all the moisture from the air, and as a result of this, the climate becomes hot but dry, and it makes the place livable.
दैट इज मैं फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं कहता हूँ जुलाई का दिल्ली वर्सेस अप्रैल का दिल्ली. अप्रैल में भी गर्मी है 40-45 डिग्री सेल्सियस, जुलाई में भी है, बट व्हाट इज मोर ऑप्रेसिव इज जुलाई because of loss of moisture. So this wind, when it comes, it absorbs all the moisture. Such wind is known as harmattan, and because of its effect it is known as doctor wind. Because of its effect it is known as doctor wind. It has been given in your handout, doctor wind, on the local winds, handout of local winds. I am not going to read. तो ये डायग्राम यहाँ पे मिसिंग है. यू कैन मेक दिस डायग्राम. You can make in your handout the same diagram. So print नहीं हुआ properly. ये गुनिया, मोरक्को तो यहाँ पे है. मोरक्को, अल्जीरिया, इजिप्ट, लीबिया ऊपर है. ये तो गिनिया, यू नाइजीरिया, ऑल दिस रीजन इज देयर. Now, see, I am teaching you important local winds only. No need of writing anything. Of the same air mass or same air, this is Africa, this is Mediterranean Sea, and this is Europe. Europe में these are the mountains of Europe. ऐसे है Alps, right? So this air from here originates from Sahara, and sometimes when the Sahara is colder, winters में, if high pressure developता है over Sahara, but the water will take time to get heated, Mediterranean Sea, so it flows from high pressure to low pressure. Now the northern part of Sahara is extremely sandy. Sahara is a desert, and desert is not having vegetation. जरूरी नहीं कि sand होनी चाहिए. It can be rocks, it can be sand also, it can be stones also. Ladakh is stones. There is no sand in Ladakh. Western Rajasthan is sandy, so it is extremely sandy, and as a result, धूल चलती है in the form of sands from the Sahara towards the Mediterranean Sea. While crossing the Mediterranean Sea, it picks up the moisture from the Mediterranean Sea. And when it goes to the southern part of Europe, because of the Alps, it is forced to rise up. And as a result, moisture आ जाता है from the Mediterranean Sea, it starts giving the rainfall. But rainfall के साथ साथ, what falls down is also the sands. This wind, not an air mass, this is a local wind which is known as Sirocco. Or it is associated with blood rain. Next page. And because it is flowing over a very vast region, it is known by different names. Why blood rain? because red color ka rain falls out along with the sands. Fine, so it is known as Sirocco. And Sirocco is known by different names. Give me the hand. It is known by different names. It is known as Sirocco here, in Gibli, Chile. It is known as Khamsin in Egypt. यहाँ पे लिख सकते हो Egypt if you want. It is known as lavender in Spain. It is just known by different names. ये सब GS के लिए याद रखते हैं, but optional के लिए याद रखने की ज़रूरत नहीं. What is उसका economic impact? It destroys the grape cultivation or horticulture in this region, and therefore it is bad. This is good, this is bad. But it is not necessary that blood rain will occur only due to the Sirocco. Blood rain sometimes occurs even due to bacteria in the clouds. केरला में हुआ था, totally bloody in color. This is the color of the natural rain. Fine. And this is Sirocco. Dust है ज़्यादा, and this dust starts falling down, therefore it is known as Sirocco. Why dust is there? Because of sandy desert. The same diagram is there even in the GC Leon, but you draw the diagram there. Similarly in Europe, there is a wind which is similar to Himalayas also. It originates from the Alps during the winter season and it starts flowing down. But in Europe there are numerous mountains. Himalayas के बाद there is no mountain in India. So ये ऐसे wind India में भी है. Whenever there is a snowfall in the Himalayas, this wind comes down. But यहाँ पे फर्क ये है कि it comes down the slope and it enters the narrow valley of river Rhone. And after entering the narrow valley of river Rhone, the wind ka speed increases to somewhere around 200 and 125 kilometers per hour, 60 to 125 kilometers per hour, and it becomes dangerous. As it becomes dangerous, why it becomes dangerous? Because it suddenly reduces the temperature when it comes down, and this local wind is known as Mistral. It is an cold wind. मिला मिस्ट्राल? I'm not spending time on the local winds because बहुत आसान टॉपिक है वो. The wind which blows over Alps, from the Alps over France towards the Mediterranean Sea through, underline the word, Rhone Valley is known as Mistral. When it is funneled down the Rhone Valley, funneling effect means narrowing effect. When it is funneled down the Rhone Valley, it becomes very cold and dry and blows at very high speed, a speed between 160 to 130 kilometers per hour. It reduces the temperature to below the freezing point. Due to the high speed and low temperature, orchards and gardens have to be protected from it by the thick hedges of trees. Many small houses have their doors and windows only on the southeastern side, क्योंकि north से ये क्या आ रही है, wind. यही NCERT simple word में कहता है, due to this north facing houses are avoided in Europe. यहाँ पे दिया है southeastern side में दरवाजे हैं. Getting it? And the second last page पे बोरा. This is how the Alps are in Europe, right? ग्रीस में भी है Alps, इटली में भी Alps है. यही डायग्राम हमने यहाँ पे बनाया था. So we have just enlarged it. यहाँ पे also there is a snowfall and high pressure belt is created here. Surrounding region is low pressure belt and therefore wind flows from high pressure to low pressure, picks up moisture and then it gives snowfall over Italy. This wind is known as Bora. सिर्फ इतना याद रखना, Bora flows from Adriatic Sea. Bora flows from the Adriatic Sea. If you read that, that will be written. You got the handout yesterday? Bora. It is bitterly cold, dry, gusty, squally, मतलब तूफान जैसे, wind blowing violently down the mountains from north into the Adriatic Sea, from high pressure area over Central Europe to a depression over the Mediterranean Sea. It brings, ये technical straightened by gravity वो सब मत करो, ये सब नहीं लिखना है. It brings heavy clouds or rain or snow over the Adriatic Sea. In such situation, the cold air undercuts the moist air. It may continue for several days if a cyclone is well established. Bora can be a great danger to navigation and to transportation. And वहाँ पे लिखो, it also results into, लिखो वहाँ पे, cold waves over Italy. It also results into cold waves over Italy. There is a frequent question on local winds and how you should answer this. You should answer with the definition of the local winds over a shorter area, and they will ask you the climate and examples of few local winds. So you should classify the winds into warm and cold. Warm local winds में you can give an example of Chinook. And Chinook का जैसा ही phenomena in Europe is known as Fawn or Fohn. So separately करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Second, you should mention Sirocco and Harmattan. उस इनके क्या impact है, खत्म करो. Cold winds में you most important you should mention Mistral. इसका क्या impact है. Second you mention blizzard, इसका क्या impact है. And अगर question में time है तो ही you mention Bora. Fine? Optional. This is option to you. And in every wind give its impacts. And the last point will be India ka map and local winds in India. Fine? This is how the answer will be. I'll give you a model answer tomorrow. You try to write it on your own and you take the model answer tomorrow, how the important winds are. So take one question. What do you understand by air masses? Explain with examples. Explain with examples. Modification of air masses. And its impact on macroclimatic regions, on the weather of the world. Don't write macroclimatic regions, on the weather of the world. $300, 25 marks. Fine. You take this, you have 1 day, 2 day, परसों तक मुझे submit करो ये answer. Write it on your own and submit it. And so we'll meet tomorrow then with cyclones, anticyclones. I'll complete tomorrow सारा cyclones, anticyclones, cyclone disaster management, ताकि परसों we can start with the last lecture on climate, that is Thornwhite, Köppen and Trevarth. क्योंकि वहाँ सब ट्रॉपिकल हाई प्रेशर बेल्ट होता है, जो 0 डिग्री से एयर राइज होती है वो जाके 30 to 35 डिग्री के बीच मैकेनिकल मतलब हाँ डायनामिक इंड्यूस्ड हाई प्रेशर, मैकेनिकल हाई प्रेशर.